Are we beginning again? Are we picking up where we are? We can begin again. I was explaining how grief has different stages. And I think that the term or the phrase of everybody grieves differently is used too grandly, honestly. I think that instead of saying that everyone grieves differently, we should acknowledge the fact that grief has different stages. So if you see someone that you know very well may be grieving and they show up as angry, or they show up as cold, or more apologetic, understand that grief has different stages, and that yes, everyone does grieve differently. Sometimes you have to experience different stages of grief when you are triggered by new information. Okay. Now, I was talking about how new information is essential to changing your perspective. Okay. To change your perspective, it's just challenging yourself. You're challenging yourself with the possibility of what I once knew may not be completely true. No matter if you agree with it or not, you begin to look at life in a new way. No matter your situation, no matter the person, even if it's just you. And I think that a lot happens when you begin to challenge your perspective on a continuous basis. Some may call it shadow work, because you realize how triggered you are by the world. Some may call it just growth or inner healing, or healing your inner child, because that's who we tend to hear from the most, since that's one of the first memories we have of life. We have that and that experience alone to reflect on, essentially. So when you're triggered by your environment, sometimes it is because you may be grieving without realizing it. For example, I just realized that I was grieving losing my job. I was grieving losing my job when I quit. I put in my 2 weeks. I walked away. And I still grieved. I still felt like I was losing something. I still felt like I would be losing something if I let it go. So I sat and I thought with myself, because, I'll be having some real conversations with myself and the real ones around me. And I'm just like, oh, why are you sad? Like, how are you sad and you walked away? Like, what's wrong? Like, why are you triggered? And I learned that being sad is, not being sad. I learned that when you're triggered by losing something or someone, is due to an abandonment wound, usually. And that abandonment wound happened to me during my childhood. Like, it had to, because that's the only time that I can reflect on, right? So I had to ask myself, like, well, what made me feel abandoned in that way? And I'm like, remember when you were a kid and you weren't picked for stuff. Like, you were picked on. Remember when people people didn't want to play with you, they would rather play with someone else? Like, remember how that made you feel? Like, yeah, you went on about your day, but it made you feel something. It made me feel like I couldn't be cool with those people, which is fine. But it also made me realize, like, I can't really hang out with a lot of people because that happened a lot. And it's nothing to be ashamed of, but I still felt shame. And that's what happens. You grieve. You grieve a part of life that once was. You grieve a part of life that you once knew to be. Because now that you have new information, the life that you once knew is no longer. Life is not the same. I see shit different now. Right? And we do this with every single piece of new information that comes in. It's just more impactful when we can use the information. Like when we can apply it to our life every day. When it actually relates to us. You know? So I had to figure out like where that trauma came from. Like, whoa, okay, abandonment, sure, mother wounds, father wounds, that's everybody. It's like everybody. And I'm like, okay, where did this wound come from? Because it has to be specific. You can't just end with abandonment. Abandonment where? Abandonment when? Abandonment how? With who? What fashion? And that led me to that, like, really. And, like, I had to become cool with being alone. With, like, not really having many friends. I eventually found my day ones. But when it came to really navigating life and figuring shit out, I had to really catch on really quickly. Because I was solo dolo. So I got in the habit of questioning my perspective time and time and time again. I was craving, desiring new information. And that helped me like continually evolve into something else, something new, something better. And I realize now that like, since I've gotten really, really good and comfortable doing that, I haven't really had much practice in interacting with people who are outside of my immediate friend or family group, my immediate circle. I mean, work is cool. Like, this is what I'm saying. Work is cool because it gives you this, like, quote unquote safe space. But I know, I'm using it loosely. But this space where there's supposed to be structure, where you're supposed to feel safe, where routinely things are supposed to happen, even if the things that happen outside of the norm are the best parts of your day. So work was great, but while working one of my many jobs, I learned something very peculiar. It stuck out to me a lot. And this dude said he realized he had basically customer service was getting him good at only being great at short-term interactions compared to long-term interactions like wife, husband, friend, family member. You know what I mean? Those things are something that we also need really good practice in because we've gotten really, really good at short-term connections where we only see this person for maybe no more than an hour a day. You know what I mean? But never see them again. Like, you can be anybody you want to be all the time. And it's great because you're constantly continuing to show up as who they, and I mean your job, organization, your business, who you're supposed to be, who you were hired to be, who you get paid to be, right? And that's great until the reward doesn't really satisfy the soul. So what does satisfy the soul? Your soul is satisfied when you are truly exploring life. However, in life, you have to learn how to connect. Last thing, when we spend a lot of time by ourselves because we have been hurt, because we don't feel heard, because we don't feel seen, because we don't feel valued, when that happens, we are in what's known as the isolation stage, trauma. Just like grief has stages, trauma has stages too. When you spend a lot of time in that isolation stage, you don't really show up how you're supposed to. And then that's not fair for you or anybody that you interact with. Okay? So if I can leave you with anything here today, for those of you who are identifying or relating to the isolation stage of trauma, it is to express yourself through song, through dance, through music, through art, through poetry, through writing, through singing, through talking, through texting, through emailing, through recording yourself. Talk, speak, stretch, walk, get in some water, go outside and plant your feet. You need to express yourself. You need to show up in a way that matters to you. It don't gotta be nobody else involved. Thank you. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to say. I think I'm gonna call this platform Shay Shay Speaks. Not too sure though. I like Shay Shay Speaks, what y'all think? Anyway, Shay Shay has spoken. And that's all I really want to say. You can find more information in the description box, okay? Bye.